What's up, Mitchener, and welcome to this week's Wellness Wednesday episode. My name is Danny Ibrahim, and on this episode, I'll be taking you guys through a full day of eating, or a meal prep guide. Now, what I'll be doing is I'll be showing you guys every single meal that I eat throughout the day, and these meals are pretty much the same 7 days a week. The ingredients are the same, the food sources are the same, and pretty much everything about it is the same. Now, for a lot of people, I know that sounds boring. However, that's what works best for me. Sticking to the same food sources and knowing what I'm going to be eating every single day, day in and day out, is what's helped me lose a ton of weight and build the physique of my dreams. And as a fitness coach and a personal trainer, I teach all of my clients to formulate and to figure out ways in which they can create meals that they enjoy, that are nutritious, and are high protein. So before we get into the meals for the day, there are 3 things I want you to keep in mind or to remember as you watch this video. All right, so the first thing you need to keep in mind is figuring out how many calories you need to be eating in a single day. Now, this number definitely varies significantly from person to person, and so it's important that you figure out what your personal daily needs are. Now, one of the best ways that you can do that is to take your body weight and multiply it by 14. Once you do that, the number that you arrive at is your calculated maintenance calories. Now, of course, this is not going to be the most accurate way to determine exactly to the calorie how many calories you should be eating, but it's a pretty damn good estimate of how much you should be eating and gives you a nice little rough ballpark range that you can work with. Now, when I say it's a ballpark range that you can work with, what I mean by that is once you've calculated your body weight times 14, go ahead and run with those calories for a few weeks. And every day, log your weight first thing in the morning after using the washroom, but before consuming anything, including water. That way we get the most accurate weight possible when you step on that scale, i.e. your body weight on an empty stomach. Once you've got that number, you're gonna log the weight every single day. And after 7 days, you want to average what your weekly weigh-in average was. And each day, you check your weight and you record your weight in a notebook or on your phone or something like that. After the week has gone by, you're going to add all of your weigh-ins, divide it by the number of days, and that's going to be your weekly average weigh-in. Once you've done that for week 1, you're going to then repeat that again for week 2, and I recommend to my clients a 3rd week, so week 3. Once you've gotten 3 weekly weigh-in averages, you're going to look at those numbers and see, did the number go up? If the number went up, then that's a clear indication that the amount of calories you're eating is actually a surplus, meaning it's more than what you need to be eating to maintain your body weight. If that number stayed the same, then you got a pretty good, clear idea of that number being your maintenance calories, and those are the calories that you can then work from. The 3rd instance is if you see your weight going down, then that obviously means that you're actually below your maintenance calories and can eat a little bit more if you're looking to maintain your weight or even increase your weight. All right, the second important thing that you need to keep in mind are your macronutrients. Now, for those of you who don't know what macronutrients are, they are the three key nutrients that we consume on a daily basis. And that is your carbs, your protein, and your fats. Now, each of these macronutrients serves a different purpose in the body. And so to put it simply, fat is your hormonal regulation and your satiation in the body. So fats are what help you stay full and help regulate your hormones so you have proper hormonal function in the body. Carbs are your energy source. So it's the foods that we eat to kind of wake ourselves up and be able to get moving and get active. And the 3rd and the most important is your protein. Protein is ultimately responsible for muscle building, muscle recovery, and overall muscle health and development in the body. Now, with those 3 macronutrients, and now knowing how much you should be eating in terms of calories, it's now important that we go ahead and divide our calories between these 3 macronutrients. And in order to give you a better illustration or to explain better how this works, I'm gonna pull out my trusty whiteboard and we're gonna write things down so you can kind of get a clear image of what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's the whiteboard, and I've written some very important information here for you to keep track of. Now, I know my handwriting isn't the best, but I hope it's still legible, and even if it's not, I can kind of just discuss what I've written down, and then that way you can kind of make out what I've written down. So, Up here, we've got our 3 key macronutrients. So we've got our protein, our carbs, and our fats. For protein, for every gram of protein you consume, it's going to equal 4 calories, and the same goes for carbs. So every gram of carb is about 4 calories. And fat, now fat's a little different. For every gram of fat, it's going to add about 9 calories to your total daily calorie intake. And so just based on this rough information right here, you can already tell the macronutrient that you'll be consuming the least will be your fat, simply because it takes up the most amount of calories, more than double that of protein and carbs. So let's get right into protein. How much protein should we be eating? Well, the number isn't very clear. Science has gone in so many directions with how much protein you should be eating. Some people saying, 0.85 times pound of body weight will give you a reasonable amount of protein for muscle building. Other people saying something ridiculous like you need 2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. However, what the latest science has to say about protein, and what seems to be the most consistent calculation that has come out of research, is your amount of protein that you should be eating in a day ultimately depends on your body composition. Really, what that means is how much body fat you have on you. So the more body fat you have on you, the less protein you should be eating. The leaner you are, the more protein you should be eating. And so based on that, your protein number is going to range anywhere from 1 to 1.35 times body weight. So again, if you're a 150-pound male or a 150-pound female, that will be anywhere from 150 grams of protein to, 180, 190 grams of protein, depending on the math, when you multiply 150 times 1.35. And that'll be the grams of protein that you should be eating in a day. So let's just make it simple. Let's say it's 1 gram per pound of body weight. You're 150 pounds. That means you should be eating 150 grams of protein. What you're going to do there is you're going to take 150 grams of protein, and then you're going to multiply that by 4. And what you'll get is 600. That number, 600, is the amount of calories that you're consuming, out of which is protein. And so once you've taken that number, you got 600 calories, you're then going to subtract that from the total daily calories that you should be eating on a daily basis. So going back to, let's say you're eating 2,200 calories minus 600, that brings you down to 1,600 calories remaining for the day. Now, with the outstanding 1,600 calories that you'll be eating, you're going to consume the rest of those calories out of fats and carbohydrates. Now, next after your protein is your fat. The reason for that is that there's actually a certain amount of fat that you should be eating in a day, and once you go over that threshold, then you really risk over-consuming fat. And once you start to over-consume any macronutrient, the body tends to store it as energy, i.e. as body fat, simply because the body has nothing to do with it. And so let's move on to fat. So you should have anywhere between 25 to 35% of your total calories should come from fat. So let's say you're someone who really likes fatty foods. Let's say you're someone who likes to eat a lot of red meat, or you like cooking with oil, or you really like peanut butter, then you might want to be closer to the 35%. However, let's say you're someone that really isn't too much into red meats or having a high fat diet, then you can actually go closer to the 25%. And what that does in effect is give you more room, i.e. more calories that you can consume from carbs. And so no matter which way you go about it, it all ends up being the same because your fat counterbalances with the carbs, i.e. the more fat you eat, the less carbs you'll be consuming, the less fat you eat, the more carbs you'll be consuming. So let's go ahead and note 25%. Let's say you want to only have 25% of your calories from fat. So you're going to take the remaining 1,600 calories from your day and you're going to multiply that by 25%. You're going to take that number and then divide it by 9. Once you've taken that number and divided it by 9, you're going to get a number which represents the amount of grams of fat that you'll be eating every day. So let's say you did the math and it ended up being 60 grams of fat. Right away now, you have 150 grams of protein and 60 grams of fat to consume every single day. You take the amount of calories from the protein, the amount of calories from the fat, add them together, and subtract them from your total daily calories, and that remaining number is going to be filled up by carbs. So let's say the remaining number is 600 calories. You're going to take 600 calories, divide that by 4, and that figure is going to be the amount of carbs in grams that you should be eating every day. And there you have it. That's a very simple, very easy way to calculate 1, how many calories you should be eating, and 2, what they are comprised of. How much fat, how much carb, and how much protein. And now that we've got that out of the way, I'm going to take you guys through my full day of eating, meal by meal, showing you what it is I eat on a daily basis and why it is that I eat those foods. So let's get right into it with meal number 1. All right, welcome to Danny's Kitchen. And right before we get into meal number 1, the third thing that I want you guys to keep in mind as you see me prepare my meals throughout the day is that protein is king. Protein, out of the 3 macronutrients, has to be the most important macronutrient that you should be consuming on a daily basis. My experience with all of my clients and my experience with myself when I first started training was that I realized a vast majority of us don't get anywhere near enough protein as we should be eating on a daily basis to promote muscle growth, muscle building, and muscle recovery. Now, for those of you who are thinking, well, I'm not looking to build a lot of muscle, I'm just looking to lose some body fat. Protein is still important in your fat loss journey as it will help retain the amount of muscle that is hidden beneath the fat. And so when you go and shut off all that body fat, you're not left with what we call a skinny fat physique, or a physique that when you're in clothing you look slim, but when you take your shirt off, people can kind of see that it's more, your body's more composed of body fat and not so much muscle. And so for that reason, having a high protein diet will help prevent that. And so when you do shut off the unwanted body fat, then you're left with a nice, strong, toned physique. And with that, let's get right into meal number 1. So the first meal I like to eat to start off my day is a high protein meal. Why do I like to have a high protein meal? Well, just like I mentioned to you guys, protein is king, and so it's important that we eat enough protein. So for me personally, I aim to eat 190 grams of protein a day. Now, in food, that's a lot of food. That's like 6 chicken breasts. Majority of people cannot eat 6 chicken breasts, and it's definitely very expensive to eat 6 chicken breasts. So, one of the meals that I have that is cost effective, tasty, and high protein is what I like to call my protein yogurt. And for this recipe, or for this meal, there's only 2 ingredients. The first is a fat-free Greek yogurt. So you can actually buy this in bulk at Costco. So since all of you who are watching, or majority of you who are watching are students, I know a lot of you guys are on a student budget. Being a full-time law school student, I'm also on a student budget. And so I understand the importance of cost-effective meals. And so you can go to Costco, you could pick up a tub or 3 tubs of fat-free Greek yogurt, and it'll cost you about $11. Whereas if you went to any grocery store and bought a single tub on its own, it's gonna cost you $6 to $8 depending on where you shop. So the first tip is buy your food in bulk. Now, the reason why I use fat-free Greek yogurt, well, because of its calories. So if you look right here on its nutrition label, for 175 grams, it's only 100 calories, 0 fat, but you get 18 grams of protein in it. So what we're gonna do, and what I like to do, is I like to use 200 grams of Greek yogurt for this meal. So I have my bowl on a food scale. If you don't have a food scale at home, get one. This is probably going to be the most important appliance that you're gonna have in your kitchen outside of the fridge and the oven. And so just like that, I'm gonna go ahead and throw in 200 grams of Greek yogurt onto my bowl, or into my bowl I should say. Just like so. And guys, this is a super easy meal. It'll take you literally minutes to make, and that's great, especially if you're someone who has morning classes or you're always on the go. This is something that you can make so quickly and just carry it with you. So if you look on my scale here, it's got 203 grams. An extra 3 grams never hurt anybody, so we're good with that. I'm gonna turn off the scale here. And then the next thing that I do is I take my protein of choice. So for me, my favorite protein brand and flavor is Isoflex, made by Almax. It is a whey isolate protein, and my favorite flavor is chocolate peanut butter. I find that the chocolate peanut butter with the Greek yogurt just tastes so great. And I know that many of you are thinking, well, fat-free Greek yogurt doesn't taste that great. And I agree. But when you add the protein to it, what it does to the yogurt is it gives it like a pudding-like consistency and actually tastes like the flavor of the protein, which is chocolate peanut butter. So it's very great, low calorie, high protein. So here you go. Take 1 level scoop of protein powder, and I'm just gonna throw it into my bowl. And all you gotta do now is just mix it. Now at first you wanna be a little gentle with it because you don't want the protein to kind of fly all over your counter. And then once you start to see, if you get a good shot of this here, you'll see that the yogurt is starting to clump up with the protein. Once that happens, then you're gonna really start to kind of increase the motion of mixing here, now that the protein is all incorporated. And you're gonna keep going until you get a nice smooth consistency to your yogurt, or when the yogurt has completely changed color to that of the protein powder. And so literally within the next 10 seconds, meal 1 will be done. Scrape off the sides, make sure there's no excess powder stuck to the bowl. And there you have it. That is meal number 1. It is a protein yogurt. Now, if this is a little too plain for you, or you want to spruce it up a little bit, there's a couple things that you can add to it. The first thing you can add is some chocolate chips. Now, a serving of chocolate chips, milk chocolate chips, is only about 80 calories, so you can definitely fit that in and throw that into the bowl. Of course, you're open to adding fruits. I like to sometimes add banana or even blueberries. You can also add granola or even some flax seeds if you're looking to get some monounsaturated fats into your diet. That's also another really great thing that you can add to this, and you make yourself a nice little yogurt parfait. So for this yogurt bowl, your total calories are gonna come to 295 calories. It's gonna be comprised of 9 grams of carbs, 1 gram of fat, and 61 grams of protein. So when I say it's a high protein meal, I'm not kidding. So I'm gonna go ahead and eat this, and then I'll see you guys later for meal number 2. All right, what's up everybody? So now it's been a couple hours since having my protein bowl, the protein yogurt that you saw for meal 1, and now it's time for meal number 2. So meal number 2 is when I typically like to start to introduce carbs into my full day of eating, and that's because I have this meal about an hour or so before I work out. And so it's very important for me to get some carbs in so that I have the energy to perform my workout. So for meal number 2, it's very simple. It comprises of a protein pancake and some egg whites. So let's get right into it. Okay, so for the second meal, the protein pancake and the egg whites, the ingredients are very, very simple. In fact, all of the meals, the ingredients are simple, the prep time is quick, and it's very easy to prepare. Again, I've prepared these meals in light of the fact that I'm a full-time law school student and a part-time fitness coach and personal trainer. So for me, my days tend to get very busy, and I'm always looking for quick meals that I can prepare and just take on the go with me if need be. And so getting right into meal number 2, this is the protein pancake mix that I use. So it's called Flourish, and you can actually get this, pick this up at Costco. So fun fact, most of my groceries are done at Costco because, as I mentioned earlier, you can buy everything in bulk. It's a lot cheaper there, and they just tend to have everything that you need. So this is the protein pancake mix that I like to use. I've used many different kinds of protein pancake mix in the 8 years or so of training that I have completed thus far, and I can say without a doubt this one is probably one of the best tasting protein pancake mixes out there. A close second is Kodiak Pancakes. They're called Kodiak Pancakes. The logo is like a bear on it, so if you see that in your local grocery store, that's what also I'm referring to. Those are also very good. So you're gonna get your protein pancake mix, and so for this one, the serving is for 1 pancake or for 1 serving, it's 61 grams. So you weigh out 61 grams of this powder into a bowl, and I'll show you that in just like the next clip. And for that serving, it's gonna be 200 calories, 2 grams of fat, 33 grams of carbs, and 23 grams of carbohydrates. So that's a really good source of carbs and an even better source of protein right out of a pancake mix. And obviously the second food item for this meal are egg whites. Again, Kirkland, I'm not sponsored by them, but I should be because that's all I buy. And so yeah, I go ahead and I have a cup of egg whites, which gives me about 25 grams of protein. Now, obviously, if you are eating less or have a lower protein requirement than I do, I personally eat 190 grams. But if you're someone that needs only 150 or 140 grams, or even less, then you can kind of, eat a little less egg whites or maybe just have the protein pancake on its own. So outside of the protein mix and the egg whites, there are 2 more ingredients that are included in this meal that I use, which are kind of, what I call diet hacks. And they're little secrets, little secret foods that you can find in your grocery store. One of them is not so secret, but the other one definitely is a little bit more top secret. And these ingredients really elevate the meal, make it taste way better, and kind of make the pancake taste like a classic buttermilk pancake. And so the first secret ingredient, the actual top secret ingredient, is Edie Smith's pancake syrup. So this is maple syrup, but without all of the sugar and all of the added sweet that you find in, classic table syrup. So for 3 tablespoons of Edie Smith's, it's only going to be 30 calories and 7 grams of carbs. Now, to kind of put this into perspective, here is a classic, bottle of maple syrup. And for 4 tablespoons, it's actually going to be 230 calories, 57 grams of carbs, and 32 grams of sugar. So one thing that I've realized in my own journey, and that I realize in all of the clients that I coach, is that a lot of our weight gain and a lot of the weight that we put on is not because we're eating too much, but it's because we're making poor food choices. And so when we compare this table syrup to that one, there's a 200 calorie difference, and there's a 50 gram carb difference between the both of these. Things like maple syrup are things that you just add to your waffles, your pancakes, and you don't even really realize how much you're adding. Little do you know you're adding 57 grams of carbs onto something that's already filled with carbs. And so my advice to you, and the thing that I've kind of stuck with, is I've kind of ditched typical maple syrup. The only reason why I still have it is because I have people at home that love maple syrup, but they're not taking the right advice. But I've supplemented it with, or substituted it with Edie Smith's pancake syrup. This syrup tastes awesome. Obviously, it's not going to be as sweet as the regular syrup, but that's why we add the second ingredient to our protein pancakes to really kick it up another notch while still also being a guilt-free food. And so the second ingredient, which is again not so secret, are chocolate chips. Now, when you calculate your macros and you track your food, you're able to find creative ways to fit in the foods you love without going over your calories or without, seeing weight gain on a week-by-week basis. And so what I do is I add just 1 serving of chocolate chips to my pancakes, which is 15 grams, and that only adds 80 calories to my total meal, which is really not much at all. And so when you add the chocolate chips with the protein pancake, prepare it on the pan, and then add some of Edie Smith's pancake syrup, you have a delicious protein pancake that is ready to be consumed. And on the side of that, I also have my egg whites. So I'm just gonna go ahead and prepare this meal so you can see what it looks like, and then I'll give you the nutrition breakdown for meal number 2. All right, so while my pan is getting heated, I'm gonna go over to the other side of the kitchen, and here is the protein pancake mix with some chocolate chips that I've added to it just to give it a little bit more character. And all I'm gonna do is add a 1/3 cup of water, so let's go ahead and do that right now. All right, and there is the protein pancake mix with the water. Now it's very simple. It's ready to be thrown in onto the pan. And so I'll go ahead and just spray a little bit of my non-stick cooking spray. Also, instead of using butter or oil to cook the egg whites or the protein pancake, I just use the non-stick spray. It saves a ton of calories. So we're gonna go ahead and just do that now. Nice little POV for you guys. There you go. And then give that a couple seconds. I'm gonna go ahead and cook the pancake first, and then I'll toss in my egg whites, and then you'll get to see that meal when it's done. And there we have it. Meal 2 is prepared. So I got my cup of egg whites. I really hope nothing slips out of the plate holding it like this. And then I got my protein pancake. Now, with the egg whites, obviously what you can do is you can add some skim cheese to this. You could put some salsa. You could just even add some vegetables into the egg whites to just spruce it up a bit. You could also add what I like to add, which is some sugar-free pancake syrup. Now, pancake syrup on egg whites sounds a little weird. Don't judge me. I think it tastes really good. Don't knock it until you try it. So here's my Edie Smith's pancake syrup. All I'm going to do is just add a little bit here to my protein pancake, and then a little bit to my egg whites. There you go. And that's like 30 calories right there, right? If you did that with regular pancake syrup, you just added 57 grams of carbs to your meal and you don't even realize it. So that's meal number 2. I'm gonna go ahead and eat this, go for my lift, and then I'll be right back with you guys for meal number 3. All right, guys, we're back in the kitchen for meal number 3. So the third meal that I have each day is what I consider to be my post-workout meal. And it's not actually a meal, it's a protein shake. And so the ingredients for my protein shake are right here up on the counter. The first ingredient that we have is unsweetened almond milk. Now, of course, you can go ahead and use 2% or skim milk if you'd like. I just prefer to go with almond milk because it's only 30 calories for a cup. So it's a very good substitute to regular milk. The second ingredient, which is another diet hack, is a Ben & Jerry's low-calorie ice cream. So Ben & Jerry's actually sells calorie-friendly ice cream. So this flavor here is chocolate milk and cookies. And for the serving, it's 150 calories. Typically, Ben & Jerry's ice cream for a serving can go anywhere from 250 to 300 calories. So this is a great alternative. Other alternatives include things like Halo Top. Except for me personally, Halo Top ice cream just doesn't taste as good as the Ben & Jerry's low-calorie ice cream. And the difference in calories between the Ben & Jerry's and the Halo Top is not that big. And so I just rather stick with the classic Ben & Jerry's. So that's the second ingredient. The third and fourth ingredient are just my supplements. So I put a scoop of creatine in all my shakes, 5 grams, and I put 1 scoop of my protein powder. So like any other protein shake, this is very quick and very easy to make. You're just gonna go ahead and pour out 1 cup of your almond milk to your blender. And then from here, I'm gonna go ahead and add 1 scoop of my creatine. So a lot of people ask me, a lot of my clients have asked me about supplementing with creatine and how much creatine you should be taking on a day. When you read the back of creatine labels, they sometimes recommend you load creatine, so you take 10 or 15 grams a day for the first 2 weeks. However, it's not necessary. You could just take 1 level scoop every single day, and you'll get sufficient amount of creatine in your nutrition. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add a scoop of protein. Now, obviously, if you have a higher protein goal or have trouble meeting your protein goal, you can go ahead and add, a second scoop or a half scoop to the shake just to give yourself some more protein. And then the last ingredient here is the Ben & Jerry's. And so what I do is I kind of just take, just the surface, maybe like 1 inch off the top of ice cream, just like so. Throw that in, kind of chills up the shake a bit and gives it a nice, delicious. Gives it a nice milkshake texture. And then I'm someone who really likes a cold shake, so I go ahead and I add a couple ice cubes. So I'm just gonna do it the old school way, put it in my hands, throw it into my shake, and that's pretty much it. So we're gonna go ahead and blend this, which will take no more than 10 seconds. And there you have it. Meal 3 is done in under 2 minutes. So I go ahead and I pour out this shake right here. And I go ahead and quickly demolish this post-workout. Now, obviously this meal is not going to be a filling meal. This is more of just a nutritional support meal. So this is how you just get extra protein in and get nutrients quickly flowing into the body immediately after your workout so your body can begin to recover. Beyond this, I go for my 4th meal, which you'll see right now. All right, and we're back for meal number 4. So meal number 4 is the last full meal because meal number 5 is actually what I consider to be my nighttime snacks and or desserts. And so we'll get into that later. But for meal number 4, it's going to be what I have every single day. And I have 1 whole chicken breast. So the way that I marinate my chicken breast is very simple. It's just half a tablespoon of olive oil. And I also add some Montreal seasoning mix, chicken seasoning mix, salt, pepper, and garlic powder. So the chicken breast is very simple. You can prep this ahead of time if you want. I know some people like to just make a massive tray of chicken breasts, season them all at once, bake them all at once, and then put it into Tupperware. However, I find that I have the time to actually cook my chicken breast fresh every day, and I just prefer having fresh chicken breast rather than fridge chicken breast. And so all you're gonna do is you're gonna set your oven to convection roast to 325 degrees, and the chicken goes into the oven for about 18 to 20 minutes, or until the chicken reaches the internal temperature of 160 degrees Fahrenheit. A lot of people and a lot of my clients usually complain about chicken breast being too dry or very chewy or just not good at all. And the reason for that is because chicken breast can be very easily overcooked. And so the perfect internal temperature for nice, juicy, tender chicken breast is 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Once it's hit that temperature, take it out of the oven, let it rest for 5 minutes, and then you've got a perfect chicken breast ready to be consumed. On the side of my chicken breast, I usually like to mix things up just to keep things a little bit more fun. And so for the carb sources for my chicken breast, I either have just some white rice on the side, which is a very classic option, or the second thing I like to do is I actually like to make a burrito with the chicken breast. So I'll cook it, I'll cut it up into slices, I'll take one of my tortillas, I'll add some skim cheese, which actually I can show you what it looks like now. So at grocery stores, they sell lower fat cheese options, which tend to be better in terms of your calories. So Cracker Barrel right here makes a really good skim cheese, shredded skim cheese package. And for a serving, so for 30 grams, it's 90 calories, 7 grams of fat, and 8 grams of protein. So this is a really good thing that you can also add to your burrito alongside adding all the veggies you want. Any kind of low-calorie sauces you can also add, and make yourself a really nice chicken burrito. But for today, at least, all I'm going to be doing is just making my chicken breast and saving my carbs for later in the day. And I'll explain why I do that in the next clip. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am now back in the comfort of my room. I'm right by my computers and my Xbox. It's that time of the day where I just like to unwind, play some games, watch some Netflix, and just relax. And this is also the same time of the day where I tend to have my strongest cravings, especially for things like snacks and goodies. So while on a diet or while looking to, lose body fat or gain muscle mass, you might be given the impression by so many trainers and just so many people out in the fitness world that you can't enjoy the finer things in life, that you can't enjoy snacks, you can't enjoy the good foods, and ultimately you got to sacrifice all of that for the greater good of your physique. However, that's simply not the case. The program of tracking your macros and being calorie conscious has allowed me and all of my clients to be able, one, to eat flexibly, and two, meet their goals. And so for my final meal of the day, meal number 5, as I mentioned to you guys earlier, is my snacks and desserts meal. And so this is when I like to snack on, my favorite goodies while I game or while I watch Netflix and just kind of unwind. However, a lot of the snacks out in the grocery stores, such as things like Doritos and Cadbury chocolate bars, tend to be filled with calories and filled with fat and carbs and sugar. And it's actually quite hard to snack on these things without going over your macros. And so what I'm about to show you guys are some calorie conscious snacks that you can buy at the grocery store, which taste just as good, if not better, and also allow you to eat them guilt-free. So coming in at number 1, the first snack I like to have are goldfish crackers. This is the explosive pizza flavor right here. And the macros for goldfish crackers, so for 34 crackers, which is 1 serving, it's only 90 calories, 3.5 grams of fat, 13 grams of carbs, and 2 grams of protein. I tend to have 2 servings of this, which is 40 grams, and 68 crackers, which is, a great serving of goldfish crackers, and I snack on these while I Netflix. The other thing I like to have, other than goldfish crackers, is my chip substitute, which is rice cake minis. So this is the ketchup flavor. This is my favorite flavor. Now, the entire bag, so eating literally every single rice cake in here, is only going to cost you about 450 calories and somewhere in the 70 to 72 grams of carb range and a little over 12 grams of fat. However, if you are to get 12 grams of fat from chips, you would only be able to eat 1 serving, and that's if you can have 1 serving. I know things like spicy Cheetos, a serving of them, which is like 30 or 40 grams or maybe 50 grams, will give you something ridiculous like 30 grams of fat. And so it's just super hard to fit into macros, especially if you're looking to diet down. And so a great substitute for chips are rice cake minis. They come with many different flavors. You got ketchup, crunchy dill, cheddar, salt and vinegar, barbecue. pretty much the same flavors you get with chips, they also make in rice cake. So this is definitely a great snack to pick up in the grocery store. I highly recommend it. Now, those are my top salty snacks. Now, if any of you, or whenever I have kind of a craving for chocolate or something more on the creamy side of snacks, I actually like to go for a Golden Grams granola bar. So this is what it looks like. It's just a Golden Grams the s'mores chocolate bar. And a single one of these bars is only 140 calories. It is super satisfying and super filling. And of course, if you calculate your macros right and really push your carbs and your fats for later in the day, you can definitely get away with eating about 2 or 3 of these in one sitting, which I think is pretty satisfying. And if I have cravings for gummies or sweets or something like that, you can definitely have gummy bears and any kind of gummy candy. Gummies at the end of the day are just carbs, it's just sugar. And so if you have had very little sugar throughout the day, you can definitely afford to eat some gummies. So you can do 1 or 2 servings of gummy bears or gummy worms or whatever it is that you like to eat. The other thing I like to do is I like to pick up these gummy pouches from the grocery store. So this is Spongebob gummy pouches. They make all different kinds of gummy pouches for kids. They have like Scooby-Doo and all that. They all taste the same, but what's great about these is a single pouch is 70 calories and only about, I think, 17 grams of carbs. So, if by the end of the day you've got like 50 grams of carbs, you can easily get away with eating, a couple of these with, a granola bar and some goldfish crackers. And honestly, by the time I get to that point of the day and I've eaten my snacks, I am very full. I am satisfied with my meals. I've hit my protein, I've hit my carbs, I've hit my fats, and I just, do this day in and day out. And, it's, weight loss and transforming your physique is not about what you do in a single day, but it's about what you do over the course of a few weeks or a few months is when you really start to see transformation, and it's really when you start to see the positive changes that come out of the lifestyle choices that you've now made, such as tracking your macros, eating a higher protein diet, and just, getting up and moving around more. And so with that being said, I'd like to thank you all for tuning into this week's video. I know it's a little bit long, but I wanted to give you as much information as possible and to give you guys a really complete picture of what it looks like to diet effectively and to eat with purpose. And with that being said, thanks for watching. Stay safe. And hopefully we get out of this pandemic soon. And maybe one day I could see some of you at the gym. Cheers.